What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Before we jump in, let me just say this. Our Pittsburgh Steelers are always working to get better. Every single decision, every practice rep, every preseason strategy is designed with one thing in mind, to bring results when the real season kicks off. And here on this channel, we break it all down together. So if you bleed black and gold, if you want the most in-depth Steelers coverage out there, go ahead and smash that like button right now. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our exclusive updates. Now, let's talk about what has quickly become one of the most controversial stories of the 2025 preseason. For the first time in over 20 years, the Steelers went through an entire preseason without playing their Week 1 starting quarterback. That's right, Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer, 41 years old, didn't take a single preseason snap in the black and gold. And while some teams around the NFL have also rested their stars, this is completely uncharted territory for Pittsburgh. We're used to seeing our signal caller at least get on the field, even if it's just a series or two, just to knock the rust off and build chemistry. Rodgers himself doesn't see the issue. He's been vocal that joint practices, where the first-team offense goes head-to-head against another squad, are far more valuable than limited preseason snaps. But not everybody agrees. One voice in particular really stood out this week, former Steelers linebacker Chad Brown. And when a Steelers legend talks, fans listen. Brown, speaking on ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry show, didn't hide his concern. He said, "There's a reason why the Steelers have not had a starting quarterback in over 20 years that hasn't played in the preseason. That's not the Steeler way of doing things. Mike Tomlin runs a very physical training camp. This move doesn't fit in with that. So I'm buying into a bit of the hype, but this move, it does give me pause." That's a powerful statement. He's basically saying, resting Rodgers doesn't feel like Pittsburgh. It doesn't feel like the identity this team has built for decades: toughness, preparation, and physical readiness. And it wasn't only Rodgers sitting out. The Steelers also kept wide receiver DK Metcalf off the field. Cam Hayward didn't play either, although part of that was due to his ongoing contract dispute. And of course, superstar linebacker TJ Watt was sidelined as well. The real question for many fans is chemistry. While some of the new defensive starters like Jalen Ramsey did get work in the preseason finale, the offensive side of the ball never had a true live game rep together. That leaves some wondering, will the offense look out of sync once the real season begins? Head coach Mike Tomlin, though, has made it clear he's not worried. In fact, he foreshadowed this decision weeks ago. Speaking with Steelers.com's Bob Labriola before preseason week 2, Tomlin said, "Hey, this guy has been doing this for 21 years. His cumulative snap total and what's required for him to be ready is different than others. And so if I'm not adaptable and open to adjustments relative to the needs of our guys, then I'm not doing my job." That's classic Tomlin, direct, pragmatic, and unapologetic. He's basically saying Rodgers doesn't need preseason snaps to be ready. And if adapting to the needs of a 41-year-old quarterback means breaking tradition, then that's what he'll do. Now, here's the thing. Pittsburgh isn't alone in this. Last year, nearly half the league, 14 teams, didn't play their starters in the preseason. The NFL is shifting. Coaches are prioritizing joint practices and player health over exhibition reps. But does that actually work? If you want to see the flip side, look no further than the Cincinnati Bengals. They've taken the opposite approach, putting Joe Burrow and their stars on the field during preseason. And what's happened the last few years? Slow starts. In fact, their 0-3 start in 2024 cost them a playoff spot. So maybe the Steelers are onto something. Maybe saving Rodgers and others for the real games is smarter in today's NFL. Still, Chad Brown's point sticks with a lot of fans. The Steeler way has always meant physicality, preparation, and never backing down from work. Sitting stars for 3 straight weeks feels different. And for some, different means uncomfortable. The bottom line is this. If Pittsburgh comes out sharp in Week 1 against the Jets, nobody will care about August. But if Rodgers and the offense look rusty, if the timing is off between Rodgers and Metcalf, if the line isn't on the same page, then all those preseason decisions will be under the microscope. And hey, it's not all concern. Let's talk about Derek Harmon, the rookie first-round defensive tackle who scared us all when he tweaked his knee in the preseason finale. Early reports had fans fearing the worst. But, according to Jerry Dulac, the news is much better. Harmon has a mild sprain, Not severe, not long-term. He won't be going on injured reserve, and there's even a chance he misses only the Week 1 game. That's a huge relief for Steelers Nation. Harmon has already been penciled in as a starter on the defensive line, and he's looked the part in training camp and preseason action. Missing one game is far better than missing half the season. In the meantime, his absence will give more reps to Keanu Benton, Isaiah Loudermilk, and rookie Yahya Black, who has been a training camp standout himself. This defensive line is deep, and that's exactly what you want heading into September. Let's start here. We all know Aaron Rodgers is QB1 heading into Week 1. He's a 4-time MVP, a future Hall of Famer, and one of the best to ever play the game. But he's also 41 years old, entering his 21st NFL season, and has openly hinted that this could be his final ride. That means the Steelers aren't just planning for 2025. They're planning for 2026, 2027, and beyond. Rodgers gives them a shot to win right now, but what about when he walks away? That's the big question that's been hanging over this franchise since the day he signed. And according to former NFL defensive end Chris Canty, the Steelers might want to consider a bold move to address that looming future. Canty, speaking on ESPN, didn't hold back. He said straight up, the Steelers should trade a late-round draft pick for Anthony Richardson. His exact words, "I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Trade a draft pick for him, stash him, see what ends up happening. He can be part of your quarterback room going forward." Canty didn't say Richardson was going to be the franchise guy. He didn't anoint him as the next Big Ben. But what he did say is that Richardson could be a bridge, someone to hold things together while Pittsburgh figures out what's next after Rodgers. Now, let's rewind a bit. Richardson came into the league in 2023 as one of the most hyped quarterback prospects in years. He was big, athletic, explosive, an absolute highlight machine in college at Florida. Scouts were drooling over his upside. But here's the thing, the NFL hasn't been kind to him. His first 2 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts have been marred by injuries, inconsistency, and just plain bad luck. Instead of developing into a star, he's been stuck on the sidelines, watching his career stall.
Fast forward to 2025, and he's now the backup to Daniel Jones in Indy. At just 23 years old, it already feels like his window is closing, which is crazy because quarterbacks usually don't even hit their prime until their mid to late 20s. So what's the problem? Is it the injuries, the environment, or is it simply that he hasn't found the right fit yet? That's the million-dollar question. Here's where it gets interesting. The Steelers are in a unique position. They've got Rodgers for now, but behind him, they've got a rookie in Will Howard who's still raw and recovering from a hand injury. They've got Skylar Thompson, who's been solid this preseason, but looks like the odd man out. So the room after Rodgers retires is anything but certain. If the Steelers were to bring in Richardson, it wouldn't be to throw him straight into the fire. It would be to let him sit, learn, and rebuild his confidence behind one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. Imagine Richardson spending a year or even 2 absorbing Rodgers' football IQ, learning Mike Tomlin's culture, and sharpening his tools without the pressure of being the immediate savior. That's a scenario that could actually unlock his potential. Now, let's be real. This is not a risk-free move. Richardson hasn't proven he can stay healthy. He hasn't proven he can read NFL defenses at a high level. If the Steelers trade for him, even for just a late-round pick, they're taking a gamble. But here's the counterpoint. At 23 years old, the upside is still sky high. If it works, you've potentially got a dual-threat quarterback with elite athleticism who could grow into a legitimate starter in black and gold. If it doesn't, you spent a late-round pick for a backup with tools. It's not like you're mortgaging the future here. Let's not forget about Skylar Thompson either. The guy has balled out this preseason. He threw for 152 yards and a touchdown in the finale against Carolina and has looked sharp whenever his number's been called. But despite his play, he's still likely the odd man out. If Will Howard gets healthy and the team wants to carry Rodgers plus a developmental QB, then Thompson may not make the final roster. He's talented enough to land with another team, which makes him an intriguing trade chip. So let's just say the Steelers were to swing a deal for Richardson. Maybe Thompson becomes part of the trade package. It's not crazy to imagine. The big picture. Is this the Steeler way? This is where it gets philosophical, Steelers Nation. Historically, the Steelers don't go for flashy trades at quarterback. They build patiently. They draft. They develop. They let the culture shape the player. But this is also a new era. Omar Khan has shown he's willing to make bold moves. Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh is proof of that. So maybe Richardson could be the next bold move, a low-risk, high-reward swing for the future. If you ask me, I actually like the idea. I'm not saying Richardson is the future of the franchise, but I am saying that if the Steelers can get him for cheap, stash him, and let him develop, it could pay off. Worst case, he's a backup with upside. Best case, he blossoms into a legitimate starter in black and gold. And if nothing else, it keeps the quarterback room competitive. It keeps everyone sharp. Rodgers won't be here forever, and the Steelers can't afford to be left scrambling when he finally hangs it up. So here we are, Steelers Nation. The preseason is in the books. Rodgers didn't play, Watt didn't play, Metcalf didn't play, Hayward didn't play. And Tomlin is betting that this new approach will pay off. We'll know soon enough. September 7th, the Steelers head to New York to face the Jets. Rodgers versus a defense that has been tested in preseason action. That's when we'll see if Tomlin was right or if Chad Brown's concerns were justified. To me, this is one of the most fascinating questions heading into the season. Is Pittsburgh's new preseason philosophy a smart evolution, or is it a risky gamble that goes against decades of tradition? So, Steelers Nation, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Mike Tomlin's decision to sit Rodgers and other stars this preseason, or do you side with Chad Brown, believing that this isn't the Steeler way? Drop your answers in the comments below. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into Steelers news and analysis, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe right now. We're going to be covering everything this season, from kickoff to playoffs, and you don't want to miss a thing. Here we go, Steelers Nation. The journey starts now.